Okay.
Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Elena's Barre Low Impact Full Body Workouts. I'm today with Melody, and we are going to talk with you about money and relationships. And yeah, we were discussing how men are taking care of most of the expenses that a woman is experiencing. Men are paying for the houses, right? Men are paying for loans, men are paying for cars, for gas, for the essential things that the family needs. The men are taking care of children. They are paying for kids' education if they can, right? And when a woman has a job, so here I have a question for you guys. Do you think that a woman should withhold the money that she makes for herself, or should she contribute to the common family goals? Let's say, should she bring the money to the table as well? So Melody, what's your take on this?
I mean, yeah, like I was saying, I think that, if you have a family, it's like a teamwork thing, and you just kind of have to get over the whole, like, this is mine and yours is mine, or, but I mean, both people need to be reasonable too. And so, having maybe like paying into the central pot, but then like having like some sort of, like an allowance for each other, but then like talking about how you're spending the money, and then bringing up any issues, before things get out of hand and you like go into debt or something. It's like, wow. So, and that's where like, kind of like just budgeting for an allowance for each person like works out well. Like all the money goes into the pot, and then like, each person, depending on your, lifestyle, spending habits, all that, like each person gets, 100, 200, 500 a week, whatever it may be. And then like, if they want to spend it on makeup or coffee or, ammunition, whatever, then it's kind of like, okay, well, that was your fun spending money. Probably like drugs and prostitutes or something like that is, not something to be spending it on. But yeah, I just feel like that's, kind of lends better to a healthy relationship than keeping this separation of like, this is my money and that's your money. But like you were saying, in most relationships, there's obviously some where like the woman's the main bread earner, but most of the time it'll be the man. And so yeah, like this kind of idea that, the man's expected to kind of like pay all the overhead costs of life, and then you get your spending money. It's like, well, what about cost of doing business in a marriage? Like you gotta contribute some too, or at least I feel like you should.
Yeah, I feel the same because this idea for women, what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine too, it's really wrong. Because okay, if you want to be taken care of by a man, and if you can do something, right, bring something to the table in addition to your looks, in addition to just having kids, because why is one party, let's say, responsible and accountable for all of the financial choices of the family? Even women tend to go for emotional choices, right? They buy most of the entertainment. They usually are reckless about money. They don't spend it wisely. If they know that
not all, but definitely some. I mean, there's also some men like that too, that just,
sure, it's just men also carry more responsibility for their expenses, right? They are forced to face the reality, and they just can't do something stupid, because if they do, they realize that they will have to pay for it, right? They will have to take responsibility and accountability for their decisions. But when it comes to women, we can't say that a woman has messed up. We can't just say, okay, maybe it's you who did the bad choice. There is always this excuse. There is always this, well, I did it because I had no choice, or What else was out there for me? We can't challenge women, for their financial choices or whatever choices that they make in their lives, because they're used to men having all the responsibility. If they are married, if they are single, also they are still relying on somebody else to bail them out, to take care of them. They are relying on the government with the supportive programs, right? And they don't want to be accountable for their own choices. But at the same time, they want to have all the power for freedom and to be able to, express themselves freely and, self-actualize or whatever you come up with, without realizing that it all comes with a responsibility.
Right. And yeah, there is definitely kind of a mentality of just wanting all the benefits without the responsibility and the work that typically goes into those benefits. And then when you have a middleman like the government getting involved, then you're not dealing with a real person. Like, at least like in a relationship where you're working on a budget together, there's going to be some accountability and some responsibility. And there's, if, like I said, if you have a budget of like $100 a week for frivolous spending and you're out getting $10 lattes every day, and at the end of the month you're going through your finance statements, it's like, wow, that was $350 worth of coffee this month,
right? And
then you're going to be called out on that. Whereas like if the government's just sending you a check or like refilling a card every month, no one's going to be like, hey, so you had like $500 on your EBT card and like 300 of that went to like soda pop and chips and junk food and like, stuff that's high in saturated fat and sodium and like things that are destroying your health. Like, the government's not going to like call you up and be like, hey, I'm really concerned about like you're not being prudent with your spending, and it's not good for your health or your family. Like, no one's going to say that when you have an actual person that you're working on, basically covering the overhead costs of living. There is going to be a lot more accountability, and like you're more likely to be called out if you're making poor decisions, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. I think people should have their accountability and someone to watch them. If they're messing up, they should be told that you're messing up. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. And in my opinion, all of the important decisions in the family, all of the financial important decisions in the family should be taken by the person who is mostly accountable and mostly reliable for the expenses. It makes sense, right? If the man is the one who is providing, he is the one who is accountable for paying all the bills, he should be in charge of the money, and if it involves such expenses as moving, traveling, like the big expenses, buying cars, buying houses, men should be taking those decisions. Because if you let a woman rule, she will buy everything, she will buy everything that shines in front of her. And this is how they actually get you guys, because they package it so nicely. It's hard to say no. And it sounds nice. It's the delusion of having your own house, which I don't actually understand, especially if you have a loan on the house. You don't technically own the house. The house belongs to the bank. The moment you default paying for your house, guess what will happen to your house?
Right.
You don't own your house. You only own, gosh, it's on the paper, it says that you are, how was it saying in the real estate school, that you got the mortgage from the bank, this is what it tells. It doesn't even, you are the one who is on the paper, but
Right. You don't actually have a house, you have a mortgage. Like
Yeah,
until the
yeah.
mortgage is paid off, then you have a house.
And
But
mortgage, you can correct me if you are coming from French-speaking countries. Mort in French means death.
I didn't even ever think about that, but that's funny.
It's a death pledge, you know. So
Is it really?
think twice, guys. Think
Great.
twice before you buy into the houses. It's a pretty. I think that mortgage it's a pretty good scam, legal scam, you know, that allows people to believe that, okay, they will own a house once they pay out all of the debt plus interest, because this is how banks live, right? I'm not a banker, I'm just kind of connecting the dots here, okay? But then in the end, consider the amount of money you are overpaying versus when you are buying something with cash and buying something that you can afford. And the recent years of the bank, it's good, you know. Sometimes it's good, sometimes the loan that you take allows you to do other things like business and stuff, and if it grows, if it booms, it's good, you know. But we have to be smart what we use it for, you know. If we use it to just satisfy our desires and wishes of owning more stuff that we can't actually afford to pay out, or we think we can afford it, but it's only temporary because no jobs are guaranteed. You might be fired the moment something goes wrong with the economy, you know, there is this transition and shift. You have to be careful and thoughtful of how you're going to pay it out. If you can't afford something, just don't buy it. Find a way around it, you know, unless you come up with some, maybe use savings, you know, and accumulate more and more and more savings there, you know. And rent is not actually a bad thing right now, especially for the millennial generations. A lot of people can't afford buying houses because they are so drastically overpriced. It's just insane.
Right. And I mean, rent is gone through the roof. Like at least where I live, it's, you know, it's double
Yeah.
what it was like 5 years ago. And like one of my friends is moving into a place. It's like he's renting a room. So it's a house with 5 bedrooms and 1 bath. I'm like, oh, that sounds horrible. Like sharing a bathroom with 5 people. Like, but you know, he's paying $580 a month. And it's like I had like a huge 2-bedroom apartment that's, you know, like bigger than some of my friends' houses, you know. I mean, I was paying like 425 for like a decade. And part of that's because I kept like doing things to fix it up. And I think they just kept my rent low because they didn't want me to like run off, because they're like, the longer she stays here, the more things are going to get fixed. But yeah, and then they like changed management and they like bumped it up immediately to like, you know, 6 something, which was still like an incredible deal for like, you know, such a huge apartment. But I was just kind of like, yeah, I didn't like the new management, so I was like out. But it just like, yeah, I know I couldn't find it. But then, you know, the trade-off is like with a rental, like things go wrong and it's like you call the owner, like you don't own the place. Like if the roof starts
Exactly. If
leaking,
something, the roof leaks,
which
something needs fixing, come and fix my house.
right, which
And
if
then
you're a
moving.
homeowner, it's on you to like find a
Yeah.
contractor to do it, or like, you know, do it yourself if you have the skills. But I mean, it's still like, it's going to be a lot of time and money.
I think buying a house makes sense if you can afford it and if you can buy it with cash. Otherwise, getting a loan and in addition paying for all of the expenses of the house, it's no, rent is actually cheaper if you do the math. You
Well,
know?
especially when you look at like a long-term, like, you know, whether you buy a new house or an older house, is within a decade, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to have some expensive issue come up, whether it's
Yeah.
irrigation problem in the yard or an electrical problem, or maybe you just realize that you know, there's a wall where it really shouldn't be. And, you know, more time you spend in a place, the more things you notice about it that you want
Exactly. It's like a black hole for money. I remember my mom was trying to sell her house and oh gosh, it was hard. Yeah, nobody wanted to buy it. So there was this peak time when it was the seller's market and she should have sold it, but she overweighted it. And this is what happens, but bad trading, you know, it's all,
Right. It's almost like a stock market thing. Like you
yeah.
have to kind of guess when it's going to be at the highest and the lowest and buy and sell appropriately or accordingly. So
Yeah, guys, let us know what you think. We will wrap it up here because we have to go and do other things.
that's right, I got it.
Yeah, I was looking at the clock here. So yeah, it's some interesting topic. Let us know what you think, who needs to be in charge of the money in the family and in the relationship, and who do you think should take the most important and big decisions in the family, in the comments. Okay, and we'll see you in the next video. Join us for super fun workouts. Remember to like this video if you like our discussions, and subscribe so you don't miss on the upcoming videos and interesting discussions with Elena's Barre community. We'll see you soon, and thank you, Melody, so much for joining me today. Okay,
Yeah, thank
I'll see
you.
you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.